Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College Sportscast, and I'm here tonight to do our weekend wrap-up show, baseball tournament, NCAA Baseball Tournament regionals, and we are going to wrap them up for you tonight.
We executed.
I heard a fan offer free Dippin' Dots if I blew it.
Wanted to have some fun, execute.
I had bombs.
Stay as a team, execute, give 100%.
Dippin' Dots sound good.
All right, guys, we are back. It's Brad with College Sportscast. Yes, I realize it's Tuesday. It's not the weekend, but the NCAA Baseball Tournament is going on and softball, and they played games late into the night last night. The new Super Region bracket came out today. We'll give you an update on that towards the end of the show. But I'm going to start out with tonight. Going to start out, of course, with my take on Facebook. If you're joining us on Facebook, you can now help support us by sending stars. Sending stars allows us to earn some money. For every stars that you send, we get a little bit of money from that, and that money helps us to create more content for you. Or you can subscribe now to our College Sportscast page on Facebook. You can do that. It's only 99 cents a month. It's the bargain of the century, and you do get your own page. There's a subscribers page. I do post stuff in that. Sometimes it is stuff that I don't post anywhere else. So you do get that as well for your 99 cents a month. And both of those ways now help support College Sportscast so we can continue to make more content for you. So start out with that. It's going to be just me tonight. So I'm going to try to run through this and do this fairly quick for you guys. But I am here to do the weekend wrap-up show, NCAA Baseball Tournament regions. It is now week 44, by the way. I haven't changed that. But we are going to jump right into some stuff. I'm going to start out with a college softball World Series update. I'm going to start the show out with that. So the Oklahoma Sooners have been queens in softball for the last 3 years. They are the 3-time defending champs, and they're in the College World Series, Women's College World Series right now. And they had a pretty tough matchup with Florida. So yesterday, Florida beat them, hammered out 4 home runs, beat them like 9-2 or 9-3. I forgot exactly what the score was, but it was somewhere in that range. And the significance was it was the Oklahoma Sooners softball team's first NCAA tournament loss in over 20. They had a streak of 20 wins snapped yesterday. Let's move on to today. This is game 3 between Florida and Oklahoma. Oklahoma won the first one. Florida won yesterday. It's a winner take all. Florida jumps out ahead 2-0. Oklahoma ties the game up 2-2. In the 4th, 5th inning, Florida actually goes ahead 5-2 against this Oklahoma team. Again, 3-time champs. Oklahoma fights back, takes them to extra innings, and walks it off 6-5 against the Gators, advancing to the National Championship Series versus Texas. So the last Big 12 involvement that Texas and Oklahoma, one of that they're going to have, actually it'll be the last because Texas and Oklahoma is out of the baseball. So the last Big 12 involvement that they will have is going to be a women's softball showdown in the National Championship Series. So that'll start in a couple of days, and look forward to seeing how that turns out. You got Texas and Oklahoma, Big 12 at the end here for them, for Oklahoma and Texas. They're moving on to the SEC. Going to be interesting. They're hated rivals. Oklahoma's the 3-time champs. Texas is really, really good this year, ranked number 1. So we'll see what happens in this series. But 3-time champs, we'll see what happens. All right, so I wanted to start out with that. And then we are going to get to what happened in the baseball tournament. So we're going to start out with the Knoxville region. This one, had Tennessee and Northern Kentucky and Southern Miss and Indiana. And it came down to game 6 out of this. Game 3 for Tennessee was against Southern Miss. Tennessee wins 12-3, winning the Knoxville region here. Not a big surprise. Tennessee is the number 1 overall team in the baseball tournament, NCAA baseball tournament. I guess one of the bigger surprise was the Southern Miss beat Indiana 15-3, moving to the championship against Tennessee. 15-3. Indiana has a very good offense and hitters, and it was kind of surprised in that part of the region. But Tennessee prevails. They have one of the best lineups and one of the best teams, period. I mean, they are the number 1 overall team in the NCAA bracket, so they move on and win the Knoxville region. I will say this, in my pick'ems, I had this one right. We did our game day pick'ems for these regions last week. Picked all 16. I will start out by saying that I got 9 of the 16 right in my picks. Got close in the LSU region versus North Carolina and Chapel Hill, and a couple more, but wound up going 9 for 16, 9 out of 16. All right, the next region was the Lexington region. In this region, the Cats kind of had some really good starting pitching in this one. The only struggle the Cats had at all was on Friday. The starting pitcher was pulled after 4 innings, and they done some middle relief. And in 2 innings, Western Michigan scored 8 runs. They were ahead 8-0. And in 2 innings, they scored 8 runs. Kentucky wound up finishing off scoring 2 runs late and beating Western Michigan 10-8. And the rest of the series, or the rest of the weekend here in the region, the pitching was fantastic. I mean, Indiana State was in this region. They wound up playing Illinois in the second game, winning 6-1. And then Mason Moore was lights out again on the Sunday game here against Indiana State, winning 5-0. Pitched another 6 scoreless innings. Last year and this year in the NCAA tournament, he is now at 20 1/3 scoreless innings on a streak of 20 1/3 scoreless innings. 4 1/3 of those innings was against the national champions LSU last year in the Super Regional. He pitched 4 1/3 of unearned runs against LSU and that team that could knock the cover off the ball and won it all. They beat Indiana State 5-0. It's the first time in 138 games, thanks to Corey Price on this stat. First time in 138 games that Indiana State had been shut out. So it was a big, big deal. 7 cats were, named to the all-region team. Ryan Nicholson was the most valuable player in this region. And Grant Smith wasn't there. But, man, I'm going to tell you, the defensive plays that he made and Petrie made, the second baseman and the shortstop here, Grant Smith was fantastic. And Kentucky moves on to host their very first Super Regional next weekend. All right, I'm going to move on to the College Station region. This is Texas A&M. They start out beating Grambling 8-0. Texas beat Louisiana 12-5. And then Louisiana knocked out Grambling, beating them 12-5. And then Texas A&M had to come from behind, was down 2-1 late in this game and scored, I can't remember, 1 run in the 8th or 9th inning, and went into extras and beat Texas 4-2. This was at home late. And then Louisiana comes back the next morning or early afternoon and knocks off Texas 10-2, knocking them out. And then Texas A&M and Louisiana was the finals here. And Texas A&M, like Kentucky and Tennessee, all wins in a 3 games situation here and beats Louisiana 9-4. I had all 3 of these regions right. This is the 1, 2, and 3 team seeds in the tournament, so it's not like this is a huge deal here. But that's how this region worked out. Was the Aggies are moving on to the Super Regionals. Next, we're going to go to Chapel Hill. Now, this one was a little. This one had some stuff on it here. LSU knocks off Woolford 4-3. They had to have a walk-off. They were behind most of this game. They had a walk-off home in this a walk-off in this game to win 4-3. And then North Carolina struggled with Long Island a little bit here. It was 11-8 in their opening round game, and then Woolford knocks out Long Island 5-2. And then North Carolina plays LSU and beats them 6-2. So then Woolford and LSU play again. LSU knocks them out 13-6. Then they play in the championship on Sunday. LSU beats North Carolina in Chapel Hill 8-4, going to a Monday game. The Monday game was an extra inning game that North Carolina tied late. I can't remember if it was the 8th or 9th inning, but they tied the game. I think it was in the 9th. They tied the game late and then walked it off in the 10th, 4-3, beating the defending champs, Tommy Takes, beating the defending champs, knocking them out before the Super Regionals. This was the 12th year in a row that LSU has made the regional finals in college baseball. 12 in a row. All right. So North Carolina advances. They were the 4 seed in this, but they had some struggles with LSU. LSU is a great team with great traditions. The next region is this one I actually got wrong. I picked LSU in this region as the upset, and did not get this one right. So the next one is the Fayetteville region, and this region was wacky from the beginning. So the opening day, Southeast Missouri State tied Arkansas in a game late, and I'm like, well, about fifth or sixth inning, 8-8. And Arkansas had to fight. They wind up winning 17-9 in the opening game. And then Kansas State walloped Louisiana Tech 19-4. And then Southeast Missouri scores 9 again against La Tech, beating them 9-3, knocking out La Tech. And the two winners, Kansas State and Arkansas, go at each other. And Kansas State in Fayetteville knocks them off 7-6. Arkansas was the West Division champion in the SEC over Texas A&M. They get the 5 seed, and they lose here 7-6 in this one. And then the two losers match up. Southeast Missouri matches up against Arkansas again. And this time, Southeast Missouri State gets the best of them 6-3 the following day after a late night, early game. They get the best of them 6-3 and knock out Arkansas at home in Fayetteville for the championship. So then Kansas State beats Southeast Missouri on Sunday night. This was been a double hitter for them. They had played early and beat Arkansas, and they lose 7-2. Kansas State is another team that only took 3 games here in the Fayetteville region, and they move on to the Super Regional. All right, then we go to the Clemson region. Clemson is a team who a couple of times they had to have walk-off to start with. Coastal Carolina played the first game and walloped Vanderbilt 13-3. And then Clemson had to have a walk-off to beat High Point 4-3 in the bottom of the ninth at home. And then High Point beats Vanderbilt the next day 10-9, knocking out Vanderbilt in 2 games. And then the two winners, Clemson and Coastal Carolina, play, and they have to score a run late. It was not a walk-off, but they scored a run late. I can't remember. This is they were probably the away team here, and they had to do it in the top. It was either the top of the 8th or top of the 9th, and they scored and again won 4-3. And then Coastal Carolina barely hangs on and knocks off High Point to play Clemson in the finals, and Clemson does it in 3 games, was tight in 2 of them, but beats Coastal. This was a double hitter, late game, early game, late game. So Coastal Carolina just didn't look the same and lost 12-5 against Clemson. Clemson, the ACC moves on to the Super Regional. They've been great in the tournament the last few years, and they're there again. So Clemson moves on in their regional, and then we're going to go to the Athens regional. Georgia had to come from behind. They were behind all day long, come from behind in the 8th or 9th, and it may even have been a walk-off. There was 6 walk-offs on the first day on Friday, and wins 8-7 at home. Then UNC Wilmington blanks, shuts out Georgia Tech 9-0. Georgia Tech comes back and wins the losers bracket game early 4-2. And then Georgia and UC Wilmington, the winners, play in and Georgia wins that game 11-2. So then you get the two losers, Georgia Tech and UNC Wilmington. Georgia Tech wins 3-1 and gets to the finals, but Georgia handles them 8-6 in 10 innings. It did take 10 innings, but they win here 8-6 at home in 3 games for Georgia, and moves on to the super regionals out of the SEC as well, and Georgia advances. So I had Clemson, I had Georgia, I did not have Kansas State, and I picked LSU as an upset over North Carolina. So that was the picks here so far. So then I'm going to move on to the Tallahassee region. This was Florida State beating Stetson 7-2. UCF knocks off Alabama 8-7 in the opening day. And then on Saturday morning, the two losers, Stetson and Alabama, play, and Alabama gets blanked, shut out 4-0 by Stetson. They lose in 2 games and gets knocked out of the SEC. Then you get the two winners. Florida State beat UCF 5-2. And then the two losers, UCF and Stetson, played early the next day, and UCF wins 5-2, advancing to the finals. Florida State wins in three games for them, 12-4, winning the Tallahassee region. And that is one that I had correct as well. Had Florida State winning this one. And the Seminoles move on to the Super Regionals. Then we're going to go to the Norman region, and this one did not turn out like I thought it was going to. So on the opening day, UConn beats Duke 4-1, which I thought was kind of a surprise here. UConn was the 3, Duke was the 2. And then Oklahoma beat up on Oral Roberts 14-0. So then Duke, the two losers match up. Duke beats Oral Roberts 6-2. Duke was the ACC tournament champion, and was playing really good ball. They come in, they beat Oral Roberts after the tough loss to UConn 6-2. Then the two winners play, and UConn beats Oklahoma 4-1 in Norman, out of the Big East, up north, goes to Norman and knocks off Oklahoma 4-1. So then you get the two losers, Oklahoma and Duke. This is the 1 and 2. And Oklahoma survives and beats Duke 4-3 here. So they move on to the championship. It's against UConn. They've already lost once. They win on Sunday, 6-4. This is one that was played on Monday. The rubber game, because UConn won 1, Oklahoma won 1, and you get the rubber game on Monday, game 7. UConn just took advantage of them all day, wins 7-1 in Norman, and beats Oklahoma Sooners twice over the weekend, and wins the region and advances to the Super Regional here. That's a big-time advance for UConn. I would have to look it up. It's probably their first time. I'm not sure. I know it's Kentucky's first time ever hosting the Super Regional. They have been twice before, once last year. This is 2 in a row that they've been to. They went to the Supers last year versus LSU there. So, all right. Then we're going to get to the Raleigh region. Say that 5 times fast. Raleigh region. All right. So South Carolina struggled all day, comes back and wins late to open the region here 8-7 versus James Madison, while North Carolina State handles Bryant 9-2 to start with on the opening day. The two losers, James Madison knocks out Bryant 8-1. And the two winners play, and that's NC State versus South Carolina. NC State at home, tough place to play. They win at home most of the time here, and knocks off South Carolina 6-4. So then there is a matchup, a rematch the next morning of James Madison and South Carolina. And like I said, James Madison led the entire game the first time and got beat 8-7 late. They shut out South Carolina and win 2-0 and knock out the Gamecocks. By the way, the Gamecocks have since fired their coach. So they're looking for a coach, and I'm sure there's going to be a coaching carousel happening soon. But so James Madison moves on to the finals, and they had already lost once, and then because of that, North Carolina State beats them 5-3 and advances here in their Raleigh region here, and advance to the Supers out of the ACC. There's 5 ACC teams. This is one of them, and they are advanced as well here to the Super Regional. Then we're going to go to the Stillwater region. Give me a sec. That's what happens when you don't have anybody else here. So the Stillwater region started out with Florida winning 5-2 over Nebraska. That was a 2-3. Florida was a 3. Oklahoma State beats Niagara 19-7. And then Nebraska beats Niagara, knocking them out 7-5. The two winners play, and Oklahoma State beats Florida 7-1. So then the two losers play, and Florida kills the ball all day long, scores 17 runs, and beats Nebraska 17-11. There's a wild game, a lot of scoring. But Florida beats them, advancing to the finals. Remember, they had already lost to Oklahoma State once, so they had to win 2 games. On Sunday, they knock off Oklahoma State in Stillwater 5-2. And they play on Monday, and winner take all. And last night, they beat Oklahoma State in Stillwater 2 games in a row and advance to the Super Regional here. This is one region here. I'm going to tout a little bit on myself. There's one region here. I said if Florida gets to Sunday, they'll have a really good chance. They have Jack Caglione, one of the best players in baseball, one of the best hitters in baseball. In that 17-11 game, he hit a ball, just smashed it. I mean, it seemed like it went out of the park in a second, and far too as well. So come off as bad at 119 miles an hour, they said. I mean, just killed the ball. So they have a lot of talent. They were in the final series last year, the championship series versus LSU. They advance here in the Stillwater region to go to the Supers, and they were 28-27 coming in. There was a lot of questions, people saying, do they deserve to be in? I think they answered that. All right, so we're going to go to the Charlottesville region. This one started out with Virginia and Penn 4-2, Virginia winning. Mississippi State beat St. John's 5-2. So your losers played, and St. John's beat Penn 10-9. And then knocking Penn out. And then Virginia and Mississippi State played, and Virginia beat them 5-4, scored a run late, and beats them 5-4, beat Mississippi State. And Mississippi State has to play St. John's the next morning. They do. They beat them 13-5. They get to the finals with Virginia. Remember, they'd already lost once. So this is one where they would have had to beat them twice. And Virginia handles them on Sunday 9-2, knocking out Mississippi State. Mississippi State was one of the hotter teams down the stretch in the last half of the SEC regular season. Thought they might make a run here, but this is one where I got wrong. And Virginia out of the ACC advances to the Super Regional here. Then we're going to go to the Tucson region, and this one, Arizona had come on. They had beat Oregon State a couple of times late in the regular season. They beat them in the tournament, winning the ACC tournament, and then they go into their own region here in Tucson and lay an absolute egg. West Virginia beats Dallas Baptist to start with 4-1. Dallas Baptist was the 2. And then Grand Canyon, the 4 seed, knocks off Arizona in Tucson 9-4. So the 2 losers was Dallas Baptist and Arizona, and they play the next morning, and Dallas Baptist blanks Arizona, shuts them out 7-0. And in 36 hours, 24 hours from the time this tournament begins, Arizona is knocked out of their own region. So then West Virginia plays Grand Canyon, beats them 5-2. That was the winners. And then the 2 losers, Grand Canyon and Dallas Baptist, play an epic game here. And Grand Canyon winds up winning 12-10, advancing to the finals. And because they had lost, they would have to win 2. West Virginia handles business in 3 games and beats Grand Canyon 10-6 and advances here in the Tucson region to the Super Regional out of the Tucson region, out of the Big 12. West Virginia here, a surprise winner, I think. I did not have them winning this region. Then we're going to go to the Santa Barbara region. This one started out with Oregon beating San Diego 5-4. Oregon, again, is the 3 seed here. Santa Barbara beats Fresno State 9-6. They're the 1. San Diego knocks out Fresno State out of the losers bracket here 7-5 the next morning, early the next day. And then the 2 winners, Oregon beats UC Santa Barbara at home 2-0. Shutout 2-0. Then UC Santa Barbara plays San Diego State the next morning and beats them 4-2, advancing to the finals. So you got Oregon versus Santa Barbara. Remember, they beat them 2-0, shut them out the day before. Then they get matched up in the finals, and Oregon shuts them out again and beats them 3-0 and advances to the Super Regional here, the 3 seed out of the Pac-12. One of the Pac-12 teams that will be in here, and this is going to be the last hurrah for the Pac-12 as well as we know it. They're still technically going to be around for the next 2 years, and maybe Oregon State and Washington State might put something together. But as we know it, this is the last hurrah. The Pac-12 network is shut down. This will be the last hurrah. Oregon is the winner here and advances to the Super Regionals. Then you got the Corvallis region. This is going to be another up for the Pac-12 here. So UC Irvine was in this one, beat Nichols 13-12 in the opener. Oregon State beat Tulane 10-4. The two losers match up, and Tulane beats Nichols 3-0. The two winners, Oregon State handles UC Irvine 5-3. So then you have UC Irvine knocking off Tulane in the losers bracket here to win the losers bracket and comes out 17-7. So they match up again with Oregon State. Again, they would have to beat them twice. And on Sunday, Oregon State handles, well, actually, no, this game was suspended for fog because it was late out there, and it was just suspended for fog after 4 innings, and it was finished on Monday. This game was. Oregon State wins on Monday on the Sunday game 11-6 and advances to the super regional here. And again, out of the Pac-12, kind of the last hurrah, the last two teams, Oregon and Oregon State, out of the Pac-12 as we know it. The last region was the Greenville region, and this region was whack from the beginning. So we start off with East Carolina, who is the host in this region and the number 1 seed, losing to the 4 seed Evansville 4-1 to begin play in this region. Later that night, Wake Forest, who was in the Final Four semifinals last year, in the College World Series, made it to the semifinals, who was there last year, gets shut out 1-0 as the 2 seed against VCU. All right, so then in the losers bracket, the 1 and 2 are in the losers bracket here, and East Carolina comes back and knocks off Wake Forest in 2 games, 7-6. In the losers bracket, you had the 2 of the top 3 pitchers in the game playing the second day in the losers bracket in a knockout game. And Chase Burns gets beat here and knocked out. It's crazy. I thought this region was crazy from the beginning. Evansville smashes VCU 17-11 in the winners game. So then the losers, East Carolina and VCU play. East Carolina does make it to the finals, beating them 7. Then East Carolina comes back on Sunday and smashes Evansville 19-6 after losing game 1 to them. So they have to come back on Monday and play a game on Monday. And on Monday, Evansville edges out East Carolina at home to advance to the region as a 4 seed, only the 9th 4 seed to ever advance out of the regional round. They beat East Carolina, ECU, at home in Greenville, set 6-5, and advance to the super regionals here. So that is how the regionals wrapped up. I did not have that one. I did have Oregon State. I did not have Oregon. I definitely didn't have the Tucson region and have West Virginia. Charlottesville, I picked Mississippi State as an upset, so I missed that one. I did get Stillwater in an upset. I picked Florida. I did get that one. I definitely did not have UConn. So the last half of these, that was the Florida, the Norman region, UConn. I did have NC State. So the first half I did pretty good. Second half I didn't do very good. But those were my picks. Now, so these regions, look like this: 1-16. That's the Knoxville region. That's Tennessee playing Evansville, the Greenville region here. Then you've got Kentucky and Oregon State. Then you got Texas A&M and Oregon. Hang on. It's on my list. So the Knoxville region is Tennessee versus Evansville. That is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if necessary series. Tallahassee is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's Florida State and UConn. The Charlottesville Super Regional. These are Super Regionals. I'm sorry. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if necessary. Best 2 out of 3. These are Virginia versus Kansas State. And Chapel Hill. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if necessary, is North Carolina versus West Virginia this coming weekend. These series are Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, if necessary. You get the Lexington Super Regional. You get Kentucky versus Oregon State. That's the 2 versus 15 here. Both of these had a seed and rank in the NCAA tournament out of the top 16 teams. So this is one that is, pay attention to, one that should be a tough series, to be quite honest with you. Oregon State has one of the best hitters in baseball. Travis Cabana, something like that. Anyway, he's one of the best hitters. He's hitting almost 420. He has 28 home runs, 65 RBI. He's one of the best hitters. He will probably be picked in the draft coming up here in the end of this month, in the top 2, 3, 5 at least. And so that one is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, if necessary. That's coming up. And then you'll have the Athens Super Regional. That is Georgia, the number 7 seed versus number 10 overall seed, NC State. Both of those are ranked as well. So with a ranking, with a seeding for the NCAA tournament here, 7 versus 10. These are the 2 series where you have 2 teams that are ranked: the Kentucky Lexington Regional and the Athens Regional. Super Regional. Sorry, I keep saying regional. Super Regional. Then you get Clemson Super Regional versus Clemson versus Florida. Should be a good series. Again, these are Saturday, Sunday, and Monday if necessary. And then you get Bryant College Station Super Regional, and it's Texas A&M versus Oregon. So that will be the games this weekend. I will at least make a post, maybe a show. I'm not sure of my picks for this region, but I do plan on at least being on Sunday when some of these games are going on, and maybe some of them have wrapped up. So half of them, maybe, I'm not sure. So we will be on with you on Sunday, and hopefully I'll have John Roberts with me on Sunday to talk some more baseball. He's the baseball guru, and he's been on vacation this week in Chicago. I actually went to a Cubs and Reds game on Sunday. So he's enjoying some time with his family, got some family up there. So that's why he has not been on with me. He's been up in Chicago for since last Friday or Saturday, something like that. So for this week. But we will see you on hopefully Sunday with John Roberts, and we will kind of wrap up, or not really wrap up, because some of these will probably not be over till Monday, but we will wrap up some of them and kind of talk about Omaha And so the winners of these super regionals, there are 8 spots. There's 16 teams, 8 super regionals, 8 winners. The winners advance to the College World Series. 12 of the 16 teams that are remaining have never won in baseball NCAA tournament. Excuse me, championship. Kentucky has never advanced to Omaha. It's the first time they've ever hosted a super regional. So we will see. Maybe, just maybe, I might try to go to a game this weekend, a super regional. And if I do, I'll try to film a little bit. Maybe do some fake Facebook Live or something simple, and show you guys a little bit. So, and have a little bit of fun with you. So something to look forward to over the weekend. Might see some Facebook Live stuff from me at a regional game if I can snag a ticket or 2. So just something to look forward to. Going to try to have some fun and enjoy this first super regional for Kentucky and be a fan a little bit. I might do a little bit of stuff here for College Sportscast too, on here or on the Facebook page, post on X, Twitter, and that kind of stuff as well. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This has been College Sportscast, the weekend wrap up, baseball edition, NCAA tournament regional rounds. This is week 44, season 2. We are getting ready and getting close to wrapping season 2 up completely when the baseball season is over in about 3 weeks. So, y'all, it's been fun. It's been real, and it's been real fun. So, y'all continue to hang out with me, and we will finish up this baseball season together. Y'all have a good one.